but we sang as the rain came pattering down, and I just have goosebumps. And
Yeah.
I and my kimono and their umbrellas in the circle. It was just.
Would you sing it again? I just love the sound. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. Yeah.
I love to sing it too. Ame ame fudi kasa na, jano mene omokari udishiri na. Pichi pichi chappa chappa nan nan nan. It's just catchy.
I like it.
Well, and the significance of that is that Alice's mom was not allowed to inflict very much Japanese culture in the family during her childhood, and so that one piece was pulled out of there to help bridge the gap of meeting her family. If I may, I'd like to read just a quick couple of sentences that set the tone for that.
Yes.
And this is Alice is speaking, but my father had forbidden mother to teach any of the children Japanese. Her expression of her heritage and Japanese culture came and went like the seasons. If Dad was lenient, a phrase, a song, or an oriental dish sprang into our house. But should the wrath of Dad fall, the Japanese culture was buried in hibernation until the next thaw. And only then would our heritage crop up into our lives again. Unfortunately, the attitude of winter lasted much longer than the other seasons of our lives.
It was a control thing, you know, when you're an alcoholic and you think, you know, and you're weak because the alcoholics feel vulnerable. It was a control thing. It was like punishment. Cut away the Japanese things that made Mom feel happy, and take it away and vanish it from the house and punish them. You know, it's just horrible.
And I might explain again, just very quickly for the audience. When we read Rob, it really is me. We changed the names for two reasons. One, there are some relatives that wanted us to change the name so that they could stay behind the scenes and not come to the forefront. But we got everyone's permission, it's in the book, to be able to write it. But two, we had already started changing it ourselves because it got, in some parts, just so very difficult that we were afraid we weren't going to be able to finish it if we kept writing it in first person about Alice and Rick. And so it helped us be able to complete the project by changing the names.
I had to trick myself at times to sit down and say, I'm only going to type for 5 minutes. But once you get into a scene in your mind, it's very difficult to type for 5 minutes.
You can't
you know, yeah. And then there were many times I would end up in tears, but there was this urgency to put it all down on paper.
And I'm glad you did.
Well, we are now. We didn't know what we were doing when we did it. Yeah, I was kind of listening to the voice in me. Yeah.
How has the Spirit Unbroken, the Two Sides of Love, been accepted by the public so far? You've mentioned that a lot of people have sent you emails, and they are, you literally saved some lives with this book. Would you share with everybody something that happened at the Olive Garden?
Oh, yeah. Well, our first book tour was in the Midwest, in North Carolina and Indiana and Illinois, where we have lived in our past. And so we wanted to hit those places, hoping people would recognize our names or whatever. We just thought it was going to be fun. We just thought it'd be fun to just have a little bit of a trip and find out what happens. We had no idea what would happen. And when we got there, it had been more received and publicized than we thought it was going to be. It was in all the bookstores. We had filled rooms. We sold book after book. We were worried we were going to run out of books, and we did, in fact, run out of books, and started taking orders. And what was the other thing that happened?
Well, we ended up then going to lunch with Alice's sister to the Olive Garden.
Yeah, I met my sister at the Olive Garden, and we had the book sitting on the table, discussing it a little bit, and just really kind of fascinated with everything that's been happening, and some of the reviews, people coming up and telling us, as you said,
wonderful reviews.
The medicine that it has become for people, and this lady said, oh, my roommate's reading that book. And I said, our book? And she said, yes. Oh, hold on. And she takes off running, and she goes and gets this big, tall guy, and comes out, and he goes, he said, oh my goodness, he said, let me go get the camera. And next thing I know, the place is taking pictures of us. So our faces and our name had, I guess, been recognized because of the book itself. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary, but it was amazing.
Well, and we've got wonderful reviews
You have
online
gotten-
on Amazon. The book is available through Borders, Barnes & Noble, all the major stores. And if you don't find it on the shelf, they can order it for you. But we've had people come to us and say, "You healed our family." We had a lady who had not spoken with her family for over 20 years, and as soon as she finished the book, she immediately called her family and made amends. We had another lady who called and said she had been estranged from her son, and she said, "You gave me my son back. He read your
wasn't
book,
speaking to
and he came to me." To make amends. And so all of those things are very humbling, but it shows that the book is very well received. I don't think we've gotten a negative email or comment yet, although it does have some raw side to it. We tried to be as eloquent as we could be, as poetic as we
Yes.
could
It's
be
not
in
recommended
telling
for
the
younger
story.
children.
Yeah.
It is
So-
not recommended because it is very blatantly honest, and I think it could be a good learning tool to discuss with kids if you want to, but it's not something for younger children.
Yeah, I would definitely say.
Probably the biggest comment we get is no one can put it down. When they start reading it,
That's
they
what-
literally
And
wanna
no
read
one
it all the
listens
way
to us
through.
either. They're up all night. I just had a friend tell me, I was up all night, I had to go to work the next day, and I said, "We tried to tell you, don't start it at night. You can't put it down."
Sleep.
They think it's just a
Yeah.
book, but there's more to it. There's something
And it should
moving
be
in
read
it.
slowly, not rushing through,
Yeah.
and understand what you're trying. It's a message. A message
There's
of-
messages all through that.
throughout the whole thing. You are an inspiration
It's
for
a learning
people that are
tool.
reading. It's a learning tool.
Yes. Thank
you.
Rich, you wrote Shades of Living, a
Yes.
book of poetry, and what are some of your writing credits? Because I understand you helped.
Yes, I've always loved
Alice.
to write. I had been a reporter for a newspaper back in the Midwest, and then on another newspaper I had my own humorous column that was syndicated for a period of time called Garlock's World. Also then
It's
had,
basically making fun of me.
well, in a younger generation. But then I also co-wrote a song that was recorded by a Midwestern talent
about
called
that.
Rebecca Cox. Did the verse, not the music. You wouldn't even want to listen to me sing in the shower. But also then I've been in several anthologies of collections and poetries, obviously Shades of Living as well, and then of course Spirit Unbroken. So it's always been in my blood to write, a passion to write.
But I had to do with you collaborating that book together. He had these poems shoved in a drawer, in a desk drawer when I met him.
Wow.
These beautiful poems. And I said, "Oh my gosh, why don't you have this in a book?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I don't know." And for him, it was therapy as well. A lot of his poems were written when he was going through his divorce and going through a painful time himself. Writing is a very,
It's an expression
release,
of your
good
heart,
release,
of
yes.
a release of your soul.
Yes.
I have two poems here that I love, but you recited a poem before we started the
Right.
program, and
Right.
and I loved it. So, would you like to share that? It's called Love's Masterpiece. I
I'd be
believe?
glad to. It's one of those where I woke up about 3 a.m., staggered to the breakfast table in the dark, penned the poem without turning the light on, went back to bed, fell asleep. Alice got up the next morning and it just looked like Japanese hen scratching on the table. She couldn't read it. But it turned out to be Love's Masterpiece, and it goes something like this. I am canvas, parched and plain, stretched out taut to a boarded frame, awaiting brush to kiss my skin to bring life and beauty from outside in. And you are brush and bristle, and paint so fair you blend and match colors rare, and bring to life with your eyes of almond and passion strained your porcelain look and my canvas plain. Now blended together, we two as one are so wrought with life, and love lasts long. It's one of my most favorite poems. It's
Yeah.
posted on poetry.com website. It's also been published, page 1 of a collection